Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of How to Fight. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Numpad Notation. This is something that you're probably going to see a lot if you start looking up any information about fighting games or reading any kind of wiki stuff at all. So it's pretty important to cover early and get it into your head as soon as possible. So what is Numpad Notation? Well, when we're describing moves or combos in fighting games, sometimes it can really be a mouthful to say the names of moves or explain them out in really long sentences, because a lot of the time there are lots of moves in a combo, or move names just get really long and it's troublesome to say. And when you start talking about these things, most people use a shorthand, and this shorthand is called Numpad Notation. You might see people describe things like 6P, or 2S, or 236S, or 623H. What do any of these things mean? Well, imagine, if you will, a computer numpad. If you're at a PC and you have a keyboard, a lot of you will have a numpad on that keyboard. And if you look at that numpad, there will be a grid of 3x3 numbers going 1 through 9. 1, 2, 3 on the bottom, 4, 5, 6 in the middle row, and 7, 8, 9 on the top row. Coincidentally, if we were to look at an analog stick or a D-pad on any controller, we would find that it has all of these same directions. You can hold that stick or D-pad directly left or directly down, or you can hold it in one of the diagonal directions, or you can not hold it in any direction at all. We describe all of these directions that you can possibly do on a stick using these numbers that you might see on a numpad. So let's say that you're standing on player 1's side. If you were to hold forward, you would be holding 6. If you hold straight down, you would be holding 2. If you block down back, you would be holding 1. And so because these numbers kind of correspond with everything that you can do on a stick, it makes it really easy and fast to describe more complicated motions. So instead of having to say quarter circle forward every single time I talk about it, I can say 2, 3, 6. You will see this notation come up a lot whenever anyone's talking about fighting games, but it's mostly used when people are explaining long combos. And I'm gonna head over to Guilty Gear to kind of explain why that is. So let's say that I'm in Guilty Gear and I want to explain to you a combo on Kai Kisk. One very common combo that I might describe to you is down kick into down dust into forward quarter circle heavy, which is this. Now, if I wanted to explain that to you using very straightforward language, I would say down kick, down dust, forward quarter circle heavy. Or if I wanted to use move names, I'd say down kick, down dust, and charge stun edge. Now this is only 3 moves, and it's already kind of a mouthful. So instead, it makes much more sense for me to describe it using notation. Down and kick would be 2K. Down and dust would be 2D. And charge stun edge is forward quarter circle heavy, which is 236H. So what I've done is I've turned a really big mouthful of words into a really easily digestible sequence of numbers. 2K, 2D, 236H. This can be a little difficult for some people to wrap their heads around early on into learning fighting games, but the sooner that you start using the notation and the sooner you start reading the notation, the faster and faster it will come to you, and the sooner that you will become accustomed to it. I've been playing traditional fighting games for like a year, and this is already completely, totally ingrained in my head. I would say it was totally ingrained in my head in like a couple months. I'll also describe some common things that you might see quite a lot. In Guilty Gear, every single character has an anti-air punch that is forward and punch. We call this move 6P, because 6 is the forward position and P is punch. 6P. You will almost never hear anyone who ever talks about Guilty Gear describe this move as forward punch. They will pretty much always say 6P. And again, it's just because it's way easier. You'll probably also hear 2S a lot. This is a lot of characters, low, far-reaching option. You might hear things like 5K a lot. This is neutral kick on Kai. I'm not holding any direction, and 5 is always the middle of the numpad. Something you'll probably see a lot is 236, which is a forward quarter circle, like I mentioned earlier. So on Kai we have 236S, which is stun edge. You'll also see 214, which is a backwards quarter circle. So here, again, on Kai, we have 214K, which is Fudra arc. You'll see 623, which is a Z motion or a DP input. And on Kai, that is his DP, Vapor Thrust. So hopefully that helps you understand a little bit more why you might see these numbers floating around and what they mean. And I would incentivize you to interact with Numpad notation as early as possible and start using it as early as possible. This is just going to make you way more comfortable with it, and getting comfortable with it is pretty important if you want to learn more about fighting games. Alright, hope you enjoyed the video. The next one that we're going to do is the basics of frame data. A lot of people hear frame data and get kind of afraid, but really it's not very complicated at all, and I'm going to break down the absolute basics for you in the next video. Alright, hope you enjoyed. See you later.